What is happening, y'all? Welcome back to the Media Goose channel. It's your boy, the Media Goose Ryan, and the goose is loose, baby. Hi! I am coming at you today with my Friday night SmackDown review. Some things worked last night, and some things did not, in my opinion. So let's get right into it. The show opened with the typical superstars arriving at the arena, and we see Jelly Roll get out of his very nice truck, and a bunch of refs go running by right away. And I'm immediately like, yes, I like when SmackDown or Raw start with things happening. And you see that a car has T-boned another car, and it's Drew McIntyre having T-boned Jacob Fatu's car. And he's on top of the car, beating up Jacob. He's got him bloodied. It was really good. And they separate them. I think they did a similar thing last week where Drew attacked Jacob to open the show and then went right to the ring for a promo. So Drew is going to the ring. He's running his mouth, talking about, the normal stuff that Drew has been doing of late. And then Aldis comes down and they're jawing at each other. I think Aldis says that Drew is the most self-sabotaging superstar he's ever known. And Drew says, your son, and he says his son's name. I didn't catch what his name was. I didn't write that down. But he said, your son should be ashamed of his father. And then Jacob runs down. They continue brawling, and he splashes Drew through the table. Excellent opening to SmackDown. Hot energy right off the bat. I was really into it. My one question, it really feels like they're building two separate feuds for Drew. Jacob and Aldis? I would think that the Aldis build would be for a Mania match, because if you're going to bring Aldis back into the ring, it would be for a Mania match, but I'm not sure. I don't think they're going to write Jacob off again, so maybe this is just setting up for a post-Mania feud, but there's also rumors Drew's going away. So maybe it's for SummerSlam. Maybe Drew's coming back around SummerSlam time and it's going to be him and Aldis. That would be pretty awesome. If you haven't seen it, Nick Aldis used to wrestle as Magnus. Highly recommend looking up his stuff. He was NWA champion, had a feud with Cody when Cody was on the Indies. He's incredible, so I definitely recommend looking up his stuff. So then we've got Truth and Priest versus the MFTs. As soon as this match was made, I knew what the result was going to be. I'm not surprised at the way it went down. This was a fine match, good back and forth. They isolated Priest at the beginning. I will say, having watched Revolution, going from watching FTR and the Young Bucks to watching this, it's almost like different sports. But so then the Wyatts come down to neutralize the MFT group. And Howdy attacks Solo. JC Mateo saves Solo and the Lantern, and that allows R-Truth to hit the Attitude Adjustment and get Damian Priest and R-Truth the tag titles. It's interesting. I like R-Truth a lot. I've been very vocal about what I feel about Damian Priest. He's not a bad performer. He's good. He just needs good writing and good direction, and I don't think he's gotten that. I think the best thing they can do here is eventually turn Priest heel on Truth. There's a Fraxium Motor City Machine Guns match, and it's kind of hard to wrap my head around the fact that Truth and Priest have the tag titles, while Motor City Machine Guns and Fraxium are putting on, like, match of the week matches. That was more of the kind of tag match I was hoping for. That match had some crazy pace. Nathan Frazier is one of the fastest athletes I've seen in the ring. He's just great. I can't really decide how I feel about the tag titles with two teams like this doing what they're doing, and then you have, like, a comedy team with the tag titles. I'm not saying I hate it, but I'm not saying I love it. But in the Fraxium Motor City Machine Guns match, at the end of the match, Candice comes out. She ends up getting involved and hitting one of Fraxium, I think it was Fraser, and Chris Sabin didn't see it, but Shelly did. And Motor City Machine Gun gets the win off of Candice's interference. I am really hoping that this is leading to a faction. I think it probably is, because I just don't think there's any way this Sabin and Shelly thing they're teasing is leading to a breakup. Why would you break up the longest tenured tag team on your roster when you have put together tag teams up and down the card? So I think this is probably leading to a Motor City Machine Guns, Gargano, and Candice. At least those four. Maybe you get Theory involved eventually because he has history with Gargano. But I think that's probably leading to a faction there. I don't think it's leading to a split up. I think before I had the thought that it could be a faction, I was like, well, they're not going to split up, so they're probably just going to go heel. They do that trope a lot where it looks like a tag team is like on the verge of breaking up just for them to turn together. I think they did that with the New Day because it looked like Xavier was more the heel where Kofi wasn't, but then they turned together. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I think we're going to make a faction out of that group. There was a backstage segment with Sammy and Kathy Kelly where Sammy's kind of continuing the thing he's been talking about. He reflects on Drew and Cody and Randy. And he talks about morality again. The fact that Cody tries. He tries to be a good guy. And look where that got him last week. Bloodied by a friend again. And then you have Randy. Kind of a ruthless killer. And last week ended with a title in his hand. So, the dark side. I just imagine the Kermit with the hood up. Like, do it. I think, then Trick walks up. And I feel like we got to be going to Sammy versus Trick at Mania. That's good because I think it'll be a great match. And that'll be good for Trick to have a good first Mania match. Then we've got also just so many fucking recaps. It's exhausting. I wish they would stop doing recaps for the weekly show that preceded it. I watched Raw. I don't have to watch 2 CM Punk Roman Reigns reruns. The Seth Rollins Brock Oba rerun. It's recap mania right now. It's so frustrating. I guess it's whatever. I'm not going to get too pissed off about it, but it's just, don't replay the stuff that just happened. It's so annoying. It just feels like you booked your card and there was a ton of time left and you were like, oh, just fill it with video packages. Let's see. Then we've got Randy, who's not being booed, as I figured would be the case. This was a kind of whack promo. This was not a good follow-up, in my opinion. Randy saying what he went on the stuff about, when my music hits, you all sing along. I come down and I see all of these children. I give them high fives. I say happy birthday if they have the signs. And I don't want that to be a legacy. It puts a smile on my face, but I don't want it to be my legacy. I want world championships to be my legacy. And the amount of times he said legacy, and the fact that Ted DiBiase was found not guilty of defrauding, I don't remember what state it was, but he was found not guilty, and the amount of times Randy said legacy, I'd be more surprised if DiBiase doesn't come back in the next few weeks. I don't think as a wrestler, I think it'll be some form of manipulation against Cody. Then we've got Alistair versus Sammy. Sammy got no pop when he came out. In fact, I heard some boos. So I think there's a few superstars who right now I feel like are losing momentum. And it's a weird time to decide to do things like that going into Mania season. Like, having Sammy do this very introspective story. Sammy used to be one of the most over guys on the roster when he had the U.S. title, and that was what, like 6 months ago, if that. So I don't know what to make of that. Then Trick comes out, and he watches from the side. Alistair and Sammy have a good back and forth. I love Alistair. Anytime there's somebody at ringside, or you can tell, like, there's a feud going on, so somebody's going to interfere, I feel like you can tell in the quality of the match. They don't really go that hard. They kind of, like, go through the motions until that interference happens. That was kind of this match. Trick throws water on Sammy. The distraction is enough for when Sammy rolls in after attacking Trick. He eats a black mass, and Alistair waits like 3 seconds before he pins him. And he looked like a disappointed father. I love Alistair Black. After Mania, if Randy's champion, I would love to see Alistair and Randy in a title feud. I think that would be money. And I would have the world title on Alistair this year. And I don't know if that's popular, but the fact that Vince screwed up his call-up. Who did he call him up with? Was it him and Ciampa? They called up Alistair Black in a tag team, I think. Or was it Ricochet? A scumbag. Fuck Ricochet. He should be fired. But Triple H loves him, so I'm hoping he goes there with him. If he's a Triple H guy, make him a world champion, man. He deserves that. He should be a multiple-time world champion already, who never would have left for AEW if that were the case. Then Cardona and Randy was hysterical. Randy called Matt Cardona a mark-ass stooge, an indie nerd. He was like, don't you got some action figures to be playing with? That killed me. Mark-ass stooge, indie nerd. That's the Randy I want. Not that first segment crap. That was the Randy. And then we have Jade and Rhea, and up until Jade left the ring, I was like, that furthered nothing. Nothing developed there. They just said they didn't like each other again. The nature was Jade saying, I don't need this ring, I don't need this title, I don't need this fans. You do. So it's a tactic to make all the pressure seem like it's on Rhea. Jade has no pressure. And Rhea says, well, you've been successful at making no friends. And she delivered it like it was a bar, and there was no pop. Like, it, to me, I imagined the meme where you cut to the crowd and it's all the fish at the talent show in Bikini Bottom, and you can hear the crickets. That was what that was like. And then as Jade is leaving, Michin and B-Fab come out, and you think they're like sandwiching Jade, and then they join Jade and they jump Rhea. That saved this segment for me. I thought it would be Jade and B-Fab jumping Michin, but I don't mind just including Michin in the group. I've been an advocate for factioning up this roster. So between the Motor City Machine Guns faction that looks like might be happening, this group just formed, I would add the Street Profits to this group. I think that there's rumors they could be back on TV soon. Congrats to Angelo Dawkins. I believe him and his wife are expecting their third child. They just recently announced that. Congratulations. I would have them join this faction. I was just saying on my Facebook the other day, I was talking to somebody, and I said that there should be a faction with like B-Fab, Jade, and the Street Profits. And Montez and Dawkins should be like, look, we love to see young black men succeed, but not at our expense. Why did they skip the line? Javon, Oba, Trick, Mello, all of y'all, good for you, but we've been here. So I would love to see that come out of them, and maybe even recruit Javon. I think it would be cool if that faction was a thing. They recruited Javon, which infuriated the New Day, because he, like, big-timed them just to join another group, so that could lead to a New Day face turn. which sounds frustrating, but they've done nothing with them as heels, creative. So, then we've got, what's next? Kit Wilson, Miz, and Danhausen in the back, little backstage segment going over the fact that Miz is still cursed. Then there's an MFT backstage promo happening where Solo's screaming at them. And Tama Tonga says, "You're starting to sound like Roman." He's main eventing WrestleMania. He's the most successful member of his family. That wasn't a good line, in my opinion. Why would you not want to be Roman Reigns, the guy main eventing night 2 of WrestleMania? I think I understand why they said it, because Roman manipulated his family, but y'all have never held him accountable for that, so I don't know. This didn't feel consistent with the stories they've been telling. Thomas should have said something different. Like, the thing he said about not being the same since the Lantern, yeah, that was fine. But he should have been like, the Lantern's clouding your judgment. It's taking away your focus. Saying you are acting like Roman, the most successful member of your family, Solo should have been like, yeah, maybe everybody should be acting like Roman. And then Ilya and Mello. Holy shit, man. I could watch these guys wrestle any day of the week. It was an A match. This was match of the week. My God. I wonder if they're going to run that back at Mania. If not that, maybe that Sammy Trick could Fatal 4-Way. Sammy, Trick, Ilya, Mello. That would go crazy. Then we've got Jelly Roll with Randy in the back, and I've been critical of Jelly Roll. This guy can act. That backstage segment to Randy was beautifully articulated and delivered. I don't like that it looks like Jelly Roll's gonna have a match. That seems like a bit much, but man, that promo with him and Randy was actually beautiful. Good for him. And then him and Kit Wilson go to the ring. They have some verbal barbs. And it was fine. It was funny. I think Kit Wilson's another one of those characters where it feels like they've almost intentionally stunted how over he was. Like, it's as if they told him, hey, you're a heel, so you shouldn't be going out there and getting cheered every week. So you have to start saying things like fat phobic and things like that. But there were some fine lines in that slam poetry bit, but then Randy on the phone again, and I think Randy's on the phone with himself, or DiBiase or his father, with how much he said legacy. But I think right now, my number one guess is he's talking to himself on that phone. Randy calls out Matt Cardona to apologize. That's what Jelly Roll told him to do. That's what the guy on the phone told him to do. Randy says, hey man, we've been friends for a long time. I know I have to apologize to Cody next week, but I gotta apologize to you too. I'm sorry. And in the least surprising twist ever, Randy attacks. And they just beat for beat redid last week. And then he Pillmanizes Cardona's arm, right? He puts it in the chair. There's like 15 fucking referees and backstage people in the ring, and nobody moves the chair. In fact, multiple people step on the chair that Cardona's arm is in. That was dumb, and it looked shitty, and no disrespect, but who gives a shit about Matt Cardona? This should have been like R-Truth, or like somebody who has real sympathy with the audience. Nick Aldis, maybe. This segment didn't do it for me. I understand they're trying to do conflicted with Randy, but nobody wants conflicted Randy. Conflicted Randy isn't going to get booed. That heel Randy that called Cardona a mark-ass stooge, that could get booed. If you let him go full heel. And the thing I'm going to say, you have to change his theme song if you want him to be booed. In the way that Cena started coming out to no music, you're going to have to do the same thing for Randy, because as long as that song exists, They're gonna pop, they're gonna sing. So there were rumors that Randy wanted to change his theme in the last couple of years anyway. If this is gonna be a heel run for Randy, you have to change his theme. And then we cut to Drew and Jacob outside brawling on a ledge. For this moment to work, you have to show us where they're landing. The fact that they had them up on this ledge with a fence blocking the thing below it, that I know you want me to suspend my disbelief, but if you don't show me what they're falling into, what are the stakes? It looked like an 8-foot fall. It barely looked like they would be hurt from that distance. I liked everything else they did with Jacob and Drew when they flew in during that MFT segment backstage. I liked everything else. This would have been good if a fire came out, if electrical sparks flew out, if they showed a camera shot of like a car, of anything that would have hurt. I didn't think that ending hit, and I think a lot of people online did, but it didn't for me. Fire the SmackDown creative team. Bring in a whole new group after WrestleMania season. Because there's so many fundamental things that are like, what are y'all doing? And maybe there's like, this is the leftover remnants of Road Dogg, because Road Dogg quit a few weeks ago and he was apparently head of creative on SmackDown. Maybe they're like booking their way out of the bad stuff he booked, but I don't know, man. There's so many clear bad writing segments in SmackDown every week. So I don't know if it's a matter of the way you're positioning things on the card, or I don't know, but hopefully SmackDown has better writing after WrestleMania, because tonight wasn't good for the Randy stuff besides that one segment. We'll see. Right now, if you're not going to change Randy's theme and make him like vicious and maniacal, you have to turn Cody heel. You tried to turn Randy heel, didn't work. He's still getting cheered. He broke Matt Cardona's arm and they were yelling one more time. So, another thing, like the fact that I said it should have been R-Truth. If Motor City Machine Guns had the tag team titles, or the MFTs did, so you could just blow off MFT and Wyatt, then it could have been R-Truth that Randy destroyed. And R-Truth is a guaranteed heat magnet. So like I said, there were some really good things in this show, and then there's still some of those things where it's like, SmackDown Creative might need an overhaul. So y'all, give me your thoughts on SmackDown down below. I loved Mello and Ilya. I loved the Motor City Machine Guns and Fraxium. So tell me what you guys thought of Friday Night SmackDown. Thank you for hanging out today. The Goose is out. Ha!